So Katie, Lisa, let's get into it. How did this
Great.
piece come about? Where did this start? Katie, you're muted. Yeah.
Awesome. Good question. So a few years ago, the American Repertory Theater reached out to us because they had begun a partnership with the Harvard University Center for the Environment. It's called HUSE. And Dan Schrag, who's the director of HUSE, was really interested in making the stories that were playing out inside the laboratories of the scientists at HUSE available to a general public. So he worked with the ART to set up a series of commissions, and they reached out to us to make a piece. Oh, ART is the professional theater company that's located on the Harvard campus, so that partnership really made sense to them. They reached out to us as one of the theater artists to make a play that gave audience more access to stories about the environment. So that was really where it started.
Yeah, and PearlDAmour had recently created an entire piece about forests, and also some folks from ART had also seen a show of ours called Lost in the Meadow, which is a large-scale outdoor piece in a meadow at Longwood Botanical Gardens that, among other things, let the audience hear the earth speaking through a giant megaphone designed by Mimi Lien.
That was quite
the brilliant.
Yeah.
The brilliant Mimi Lien.
So we've had like this earth-centered art going on when they
I mean, well, speaking of earth-centered, it sounds like there's a lot of nature and some of your curiosities, some of the things you're interested in. What is the through line between that piece and Ocean Filibuster?
Well, you know, we had done so much thinking about the earth and how resources move through the earth and our relationship to that. So we pretty quickly decided to dive into the ocean with this project.
Yeah, I just had to.
Yeah.
Everyone else was thinking.
I think the pun was intended.
Okay.
I think the pun was intended.
Yeah.
So we started, because we had this amazing resource of HUSE, we really started the process by having meetings and lunches with ocean and environmental scientists. And we kept hearing over and over again how much we humans depend on the ocean for human life, right? Like 50% of the oxygen that we breathe is created by phytoplankton in the ocean. And the ocean, via that phytoplankton, absorbs huge percentages of the carbon that we emit.
That keeps us from burning up.
Yes, which means that all the crap that we're pouring into the atmosphere and also that we're dumping into the ocean itself is kind of hiding the impacts of that from us. And so we started thinking of it as like this enabling relationship where the ocean is enabling this bad behavior, which is essentially like the human or capitalist drive to consume, right? That enabling relationship became really interesting to us, and it became sort of the seed that we started working with.
And I think that's when we had like that click, you know, you have that artist click.
Right.
Where we were like, what would happen if this ocean that we've kind of pushed to its limit, what if it decided to just talk and talk and talk and not shut up until it was heard? Mm-hmm. And then we pretty quickly landed on this idea of a filibuster, which is, you know, in some cases a senator or a government official talking and getting up and talking to delay the vote of a bill. And we got really obsessed with Wendy Davis, a senator from Texas, who filibustered against an anti-abortion bill for about 13 hours. And it was very dramatic. And the bill did not pass. And we took a lot of the rules that Senate put in place for a filibuster and kind of used it to structure our show. Mm-hmm. So.
That sounds like a perfect segue. Can you talk about what the first section is?
Yeah.
We're about to see?
That sounds great. So we're going to start showing you a bit from the top of the show, and we condensed it a little bit to fit into this time frame. So we want all of you out there to picture yourselves in a future global Senate chamber. And in a minute, you're going to see the performer Jenn Kidwell. Hey, Jen, do you want to click on just to say a quick hi so people know you're coming in? There's Jen. Okay, great. In a minute, you're going to see Jenn playing two parts. Mr. Majority, who is the leader of this future global Senate, and the first speaker who shows up to speak against the bill. Maybe you can guess who that is. So we'll talk more about how we came up with some of these decisions after the excerpt. This first excerpt's about 11 minutes long.
Okay, cool.
Yep,
Let's get into it.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us here in the Great Hall of the Global Federation of Humans on Earth. Next up for vote is the End of Ocean Bill. This bill proposes that the world's oceans, collectively known as the ocean, be put to death. Wherefore the ocean, she has descended into unfathomable chaos, and wherefore New York City is now a small island of memorials accessed by ferry, and Osaka is a deep water tourist attraction accessed by submersible musk-mobiles, and wherefore the seat of global government is now split between Geneva and Seattle, we, the members of the Global Senate, beg all those who love life to look our ocean issue in the eye. Let's picture the old gal, our grand old watery grandma. She's in her hospital bed, skin shriveled, craggy moles protruding, oozing open sores from years of drilling and dredging. She's lost parts of her extremities, a few fingers, a few toes, diseased nubs wrapped in gauze. Her nose, eaten away by chemical dumps. Her ears, deaf from years of oil drilling, shipping traffic. Her eyes, darting wildly from side to side. Is there anyone behind those eyes? Or has all this trauma messed with her so badly that she is now simply a shell? I mean, what if this were a dog? Sweet old, horribly sick, barely breathing dog. Your trusted friend for how many years? What if this were a dog? For years, we've run from superstorms and mega typhoons that flatten our cities and our dreams. Coastal landslides, monster waves devouring our cliffs. We have lived through these days of uncertainty and fear, and today we stand strong. My fellow humans, we do not have to put our dear old ocean down. We can remake her into something healthy and very alive. The new 7 Seas. We are working with world-class scientists, biologists, and engineers to drain and divert a portion of the ocean's depleted waters into caverns deep in our Earth's crust. Any remaining sick water will be suctioned away from the Earth through magnetic zero-gravity chutes and released into outer space! What remains will be 7 pristine, manageable seas, a better version of our Mother Ocean that we can nurture with intention and, yes, love. This bill lets humans do what humans do best: innovate, imagine, create. And with the new 7 seas, smaller becomes bigger, less becomes more. For when we have pulled the seas in, we will be left with land. Have you gone rock climbing on the Great Barrier Reef? Or bicycled the length of the scenic Florida-Cuba Trail? Take the express train from Seattle all the way to Tokyo. I want you to go with me to a place beneath the sea, carved out from the water. The land will be set free. Sudden hills and mountains and valleys where you stand. You'll watch your sons and daughters as they populate this land. No more troubled oceans, only placid lakes and streams, refineries and wheat fields as far as you can see. No more sinking, no more swimming, you can ask for more. No more drowning in self-pity, it's time for you to soar. From the country called Pacific to the mountain range Bermuda, there is a place for you and me to be. From the lands of the Atlantic to Lake Mariana Trench, this land was made by you and me. This land was made by you and me. This concludes my opening statement in the matter of the End of Ocean Bill. We now open the floor for debate and turn to our list of speakers. Oh, wait, no. No. Hey, this cannot. No. Hello, can you see me? Hello? Can you see me? Hello? Hello? Fantastic. Oh. Thank you for the floor, Mr. Majority, and for laying out the bill so clearly, without a smidgen of manipulation, I roll. And I'm grateful to have this time to speak on my behalf. And yes, when I say my, I do mean my. Because I am the ocean. No, I'm not here on behalf of the ocean. I'm not standing in for the ocean. I am the ocean. And I am so grateful to Senator Lindy Lefty Left-A-Lot for granting me her spot on the docket today so that I can share my perspective on this bill. And you say, my, what do you mean? You're a person. The ocean isn't a person. And there's a lot to talk about that there. But for now, let's just remember that the human body is about 60% water, and the salinity of human blood is the same as the salinity of me the moment I spit you out onto my shore as a microscopic fishy salamandry type thing. And anyway, you love turning me into a person, don't you? Nice work, Mr. Majority, describing me as an old lady. But it makes sense that Mr. Majority would go there, to the old lady place, because in human terms, I am about 3 billion years old. Sure, yeah. Count me with numbers, graph me on a grid, stay cozy inside your anthropocentric prison cell. Do you ever feel you're racing toward your own death, laughing as you run blindly over the cliff? A pile of bones, skyscrapers falling, 2,000 people scream as the water. Anyway, you know the reason I've come up here to talk, and I'm going to be talking for a while, because I refuse to allow the Slaughter the Ocean bill to come to a vote.
Thanks, Jenn.
Thank you, Jenn.
Thank y'all.
So that's a
There it is. Okay.
taste from the
It's
beginning.
taking a second for me to get up. Thank you, Jennifer Kidwell. Yeah, do you want to talk about how you decided on having an actor play 2 characters? And
Yeah.
Jen, stick around if you'd like. I'm going to have a question for you in a second.
I'll make sure I don't go anywhere.
Thank you. Yeah, either of you want to get into it?
You know, from the start, it started out as an intuitive thing. I don't know that we knew exactly when we started writing the piece, but as we continue to work on it, you know, a lot of the piece really is about this intimate relationship between humans and the ocean that we kind of walk around in our daily lives never thinking about, because the ocean is this vast, in some ways very abstract concept to most of us. We think of a beach, we think of maybe going out on a boat, we think of the fish we eat. But really, you know, in many ways, we're kind of breathing the ocean. I mean, it's creating who we are. And we wondered if by casting one actor, if it gets us closer to this idea that we are one thing, or so interconnected that we almost share a body. Maybe that body's the earth. So.
Yeah. Jenn, I'm calling you back in, because that's something that we've talked a lot about as we've rehearsed and workshop, that you're really interested in pushing that aspect of the piece. Like, you've pushed us really hard actually towards moments of the show and the audience might not even be able to tell who's talking, that argument, the line between that argument becomes necessarily really thin, and it should be. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that I think is so brilliant, just one of the things that I think is so brilliant about the piece as you all have conceived it, is that it feels like a really internal struggle, and it feels like something that we can all kind of get into because of that like our constituent bodies can hold this paradox and hold both sides of this point of view, and that like the arguments, like, they don't even feel parallel or you know, like apart, but actually like they kind of fold in on each other, which I suppose we'll see in a later excerpt, evidence of that. But that like tension and that like lack of like didacticism or like clarity around the kind of positioning, I think I think it like allows us to feel a little bit more.
Mm.
I mean, speaking of the interweaving, Jen, how is it playing two characters? Have you done this before? In a solo show? In a solo show playing both characters?
Well, I've never done a solo show, so there's a lot of new things.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is well overdue.
So you say. I mean, I guess I've played different characters before, but you know, in like one piece where you're, you know, bouncing around, and there is, I guess, I suppose I do that a lot. I think that that's something that I'm interested in, but this is different because that like really tricky, it's like very clever thing of having one body inhabit these two seemingly warring points of view. So it's like you start to see the elegance of like the idea of a volley or tennis, you know, or the idea of sharing, and the idea of how we all affect each other. You know, like we are not disconnected at all. Our actions have ramifications like across the water, you know, like what I'm doing here affects people across the water, affects, you know.
Jen, if I can just, you made me think of something. You know, we were able to speak with a lot of different scientists that are connected with the Harvard Center for the Environment. And one person we've been working with a lot is a wonderful, amazing scientist named Peter Gurgis. And he is someone who studies lots of things at the bottom of the ocean. And he told us this story about how the first time he went down in a submersible and kind of got down to the bottom of the ocean and looked down and saw for the first time all of these different things he had been studying separately, living in community with each other. And that was his first thought when he looked at the ocean floor, was community. And I thought that really had a huge impact on us as we thought about the piece and thought about all of the communities living in the ocean. But it reminds me of the way you're talking about these characters inhabiting your body. So
yeah.
What's this next section we're about to get into?
Great. So this next section, we call the baby crab section, and it's a good example of how, like, the kinds of conversations we were having with Peter and other scientists, we really wanted to find a way to include actual information in the piece. And so we've worked out lots of different strategies where both the ocean and Mr. Majority actually end up giving us kind of hard facts, but in all sorts of different ways, so it doesn't feel too much like a science lesson. So this excerpt happens sort of kind of towards the end of the first act, when the ocean is starting to get very frustrated with Mr. Majority and the Senate bodies not taking in what the ocean is trying to say. So they're trying a new tactic here.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Second reprimand. For what? You just asked the audience for help. See? When you become emotional, you lose track of the rules. You are... Can you... Okay. So when I snap my fingers, you all out there on the other side of the camera, wherever you are going to take the form of a baby crab. All right? Don't think about it too much. Don't think. There. Hello, baby crabs. Look at you hanging out next to your mom. She's been telling you about how you're going to go on a long journey to find healthier waters. And you're like, oh, Ma, I like it here in this brackish coastal lagoon. And Mom says, yeah, but something's up. The waters are changing. I can feel it. Your shell, the shell you're growing right now, is made up of calcium carbonate. But something is going awry. There's so much carbon in the ocean these days, the phytoplankton can't keep up. And so the carbon is, well, hanging around and turning into an carbonic acid, which gives off hydrogen, and the hydrogen fights with the calcium that should be making your shell. And so I'm not gonna grow a shell? Oh, of course you will grow a shell. We just need to find some safer waters. And you all start to move. But you can only move so fast. You're crabs. And you're swimming, clambering over coral. It's hard to find safe waters because this new normal is called ocean acidification, and it's happening everywhere. Some of your friends do just fine. They grow hard, strong shells, but yours stays soft. It's not so bad. You don't feel pain. You do feel this vague sense of dread. Is it really burning? Maybe it's just all in your baby crab head. Will you ever form a shell? Does it matter that it would be easier for predators to eat you before you're grown? Your uncle told you just get eaten by a human eventually, so who cares? Why do you feel like your death is a part of some larger death? A death that knows what it is doing. Snuffing out all of existence, one molecule at a time. Ooh. You just got eaten by a striped bass. It's digesting you, converting you into energy, excreting parts of you that fall down through the water to settle on my floor. The bass is using a part of you, and my floor is absorbing part of you. You are everywhere and nowhere, split into bits.
So Sxip was doing some magic in that last one, right? Is he around?
Yeah,
Katie,
he
you're
was-
muted right now.
Sxip was backing that up. The backing track was recorded, but the final effect was live. So this is Sxip Shirey, our composer.
And this is the first time we're seeing you, Sxip. Were you playing live just then?
The piano, little Arvo Partish piano thing, I was not playing live.
It was very Arvo Partish, but not a ripoff. It's something good.
No. I love that Arvo part.
Yeah.
But a lot of my work confuses sound effect and Foley with composition. And I am using this to punctuate the end of scenes right now. And this is a slide whistle, a classic Foley device. And I'm turning it sideways so I can modulate the white noise tone. Then at my feet, I have some electronics. This is going through a pitch shifter, one pitch down. Now it's going to go through a pitch shifter, one pitch down and one pitch up. Now I'm going to take those three tones, put it through another pitch shifter that's going to take those three downs, pitch it down an octave and 2 octaves. So you have about 9 things happening.
Yeah, that's great.
Plus, these are old pitch shifters, so the latency is weird, so it gives this organic quality. And then I send it through a bunch of reverb, and you have this. all with
that's
some janky old, oops, sorry, with some janky old guitar pedals.
got you. And they're all on your feet, and you can just like tap through them and
Yeah, you
make
can
it happen.
change really quickly. Like if you,
Right,
a lot of what I'm doing is electroacoustic, so the sound is interesting already, and I'm just using things to thicken and lengthen what I'm already doing. So it becomes a
right.
very malleable sound, and small things become big things.
And Lisa, I know you and Katie have worked with Sxip a lot. Is this, do you ever write knowing that Sxip is going to complement something? Or I know there's songs, like, how is the writing process and integrating the music into the piece?
Yeah, Sxip and I have worked together on a children's musical and on a couple of different projects. And what's great is that I know that when I write the lyrics for a song, it's kind of a general idea, and sometimes I even have a bit of a tune,
Hmm.
and I can just give it over to Sxip and just be like, mulch it up,
Make it
make
magic.
it,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And we've worked together long enough that we can really just kind of give it
Yeah.
over to each other.
And I'd also like to say, lyric writing is a very specific skill. It's not writing text, and Lisa's a good lyric writer, so it's not all playwrights are, so it makes it really fun to write songs with her.
Right. And Katie, I know, again, you've also worked with Sxip a lot, just Lisa DeMoor, obviously. Or DeMoor, PearlDAmour?
PearlDAmour. Yeah. We went back and forth.
Get it
We thought
right.
it sounded
Yeah, I
best.
know. I went through all of your
Pearl.
names. It's screwed up. What do you think when you're thinking about including music into the direction of the piece, specifically in this one?
Well, I think about the life of the piece. Like we met, I guess I first heard Sxip play in a bar in Austin, Texas in
Wow.
1998 or something called the Electric Lounge. And he was doing, all of these sounds, this, what do you call it? Industrial flute.
Industrial flute, yeah. I
And
was doing a Prince song,
it's just a
Which
way.
Prince song? We got to know.
Erotic City.
Of course. Of
And
course.
tangentially, the Electric
Classic.
Lounge launched a lot of playwriting careers because
Yeah.
they were the home to Salvage Vanguard Theater
Yeah.
back in the
Ah,
day. And so like one
right.
of my very first produced plays was on the pool table in that bar.
Yeah. So
That's
there's
crazy.
something about the like the animism of Skip's sound, and also the fact that so much of it is based in breath,
Yeah.
and breath feels like such a core part of this show. And we talked for a long time because, like, one interesting thing is that Skip's composing, but you're sound designing, and so it's been really exciting to put the two of you together in a room and
Yeah.
figure that out. And
It's been
one
really
of the
fun.
ways,
It's been a lot of fun.
yeah,
Especially because Sxip's work and just what you were just showing us, it's so much, it's that perfect nexus of music and sound design, kind of like the miniseries Chernobyl. They did a lot of that as well, which was that
Interesting.
you kind of don't know what is the music and what is the sound. It's all
yeah.
one cohesive
Yeah.
thing. But
Yeah.
I didn't mean to break your thought, Katie. What were you
Well,
gonna
I
say?
just wanted to let the people who are watching today that one of the ways we worked with you, Mikhail, to distinguish between the two characters of Mr. Majority and the ocean is through
Oh, right.
two different microphones. So Mr. Majority is kind of speaking into this table mic, and then you've worked to create a really nuanced sound for the ocean when the ocean is speaking that plays into how Sxip can then extend it into.
Yeah, Mr. Majority feels tight and close up,
Yeah.
and you feel her expansiveness.
Yeah. It's a
It
lot
Good
of fun.
work.
but and it has to do with the multiplicity of the ocean's perspective and the ocean's body itself, because to anthropomorphize the ocean, like we're putting the ocean in Jenn's body, in a single human body, which then means that it's speaking with a human voice, it's using human words, it's having a single perspective, which is not accurate to our understanding of what the ocean is. And so I'm going to segue into the next piece.
Yeah, please.
Cool? Okay. So one of the ways we've been working with that is not only through what you guys are doing with sound, but at the end of Act 1, the ocean reaches a kind of crisis where it realizes it can't go on only speaking with this one voice. And it splits into 6 other, we call them ocean selves, essentially a choir, which is also capitalizing on this amazing work that Sxip has been doing with community choirs across the world, really. where he'll create very layered sounds using techniques called hocketing, and a form that he calls the gauntlet, where audiences walk under the choir singing tones over their heads, which
Sounds
is something
amazing.
that, yeah,
And
we're really
words, yeah.
hoping that our piece will end with something like that. But we asked Sxip to gather together some of his amazing choir singers to join us so that we can try to express how those voices come in. So as everybody watching knows, Zoom is terrible for sound.
It's terrible for choirs, and I'm watching choirs struggle with it because two voices happen and Zoom wants to only present one of them. So it's a real struggle. And there's two choir directors in this group, and everybody is a composer and great singer and very intelligent about sound. Like, these are some of my favorite artists in New York, and they're struggling to work in this. When should I talk about hocketing?
I think we might need to move on. Why don't you,
Okay.
you want to talk after? We can move on to the
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do
Because
it.
then we'll have a little bit better context.
Okay.
You know, I love you. Oh no. Oh no, no. No, 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 no. Oh, come on. You love me. You've cared for me from the beginning. You're using human words to twist my thinking. How many maps do I have to make? How many songs do I have to sing? How many charts and studies and 3D renderings do I need to show you, to prove that I see the best of what is left of you? Right now. And I am trying to help you thrive. Wait. Come here. No. Come closer. Just for a moment. No. I thought we could speak plainly, but words just confuse things. Perhaps. Is ambition because you have named it ambition? What? Beyond this word, right here, is the place where we... Wait. What? Who's speaking? You or me?
You are
So far away that you can't see me.
we are
Standing so close that I can feel your breath.
You
just
are
wave
that
Once
rushed
upon
the
shore.
And just kept going. Oh,
always
blowing
On
your
way
far
from
the
sea.
so far from me.
You
can
feel
the
moon
lay
greater than
the
sun
as I run,
as I run
Through you.
as I run
as I run
as I run.
You through.
you
Ah,
free
all
you
ah,
tie
in
my
hand.
Erase the place where you begin and I began.
you hold
so tight
Your fists
so tired
your fists
So tight.
Let go.
You hold.
You hold.
So tired.
Let it go.
Your fists.
So tired.
Your fists.
So tight.
You hold.
Let go.
You hold.
So tired.
Your fists.
Let it go. Let it go. Let it all go.
Thank you, choir.
Thank you.
You guys are amazing.
Good job.
I realized that we didn't quite set up that moment for the piece, but that was a good example of a time when the ocean is trying to bring Mr. Majority closer and closer and closer to understanding that they're like this, that they're the same.
Yeah, it's kind of the
Right.
first time when Mr. Majority has asked the ocean to speak off mic or off podium. So it's kind of a sidebar.
Right. It's a separate thing. Yeah, but it's so beautiful. I just have to say, choir, really incredible work, and Sxip figuring out a way to make that work was great.
And then when you hear it live and you really hear
Oh,
the
it's a whole
tales
nother-
of it's really magic when they really get it so they're one voice. Yeah.
Yeah. Where did the idea of hocketing? I mean, obviously you have a lot of tricks in your bag, it sounds like, Sxip, but why hocketing for this piece?
Because of the multiplicity of the ocean, it's an easy way, and it's physical magic. Even though it seems like an obvious thing, most people haven't heard hocketing, and they definitely haven't heard it sitting in the audience while people hocket and pass tones across their head.
Do you want to
So-
define Hocket for folks?
Yeah, hocketing is when two or more people share the same melody. It is a medieval choral singing technique. Meredith Monk has used it to great effect, and you can hear it into some indie rock bands. And what I'm very interested in is breaking it up for text. So you break up the syllable and you try to get it so smooth that it creates, it's the opposite of the uncanny valley. It makes things more human. So a simple melody that you might go, oh, that's simple, if you just heard someone singing it normally. Once
Right.
it's hocketed, you're back into your child brain and you go, oh, a major key melody is beautiful.
There's also something connected to some of the science that really woke up our imaginations too about how sound travels in the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we talked to this great scientist named Carl Wunsch, and specifically about something called a SOFAR channel, which is a
Right.
part of the ocean where sound just goes and goes and goes
Yeah.
much farther than it would go on land.
How far would you say? Like hundreds of miles
I
or
think-
tens
Yeah,
of miles?
I think it's hundreds of miles. If
Yeah.
the scientists listening maybe can correct me, but I think I think when they would test it, they could go like 900 miles.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
900 miles. That's incredible.
He was a great resource. The scientist. One thing Lisa and I were remembering is that he came to an early workshop of the piece to kind of listen and give some feedback, and afterwards he was like, well, there's some problems with Mr. Majority's proposal, because where's all the water going to go? What are you going to do with all the water? And we were like, yeah, we have to figure that out.
And
then
at first we kind of tried to give an artistic answer,
yeah.
and then we moved on, and then,
And then-
I'll just go ahead, Katie.
Yeah, you go ahead, Lisa.
Oh, well, and then by the end of the conversation, he raised his hand again and he said, I actually think I figured it out. I think that it could go in caverns in the earth, and maybe if there was a way to like freeze it and send it to outer space. And we were like, thank you. That is now in the show.
This is why you
my
hire a
God.
scientist.
It was kind of amazing, the arc of that talkback. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so evil. It's like a super villain. He was like thinking up the words, like freeze the ocean and send it to outer space.
Yeah.
It's brilliant, but also really scary to
Yeah.
think that could be a possibility.
Yeah. Although it's really important to us that Mr. Majority isn't just the bad guy in the piece,
Right.
for that same reason of, we hold both parts. Mr. Majority
Sure.
believes in human ingenuity and engineering and science and technology and imagination. And so that's why he's kind of pushing these incredible solutions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these solutions. Do you want to talk about the next section that we're going to see?
Sure.
And maybe before we
Yeah.
do that, can you tell folks what the future of the piece is? Because I think this is going to be the last time we're going to have a little bit of a chat before or after anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can say a little bit. So this piece was supposed to premiere in September at ART, and it's postponed for some obvious reasons due to COVID. And we're very much in conversation about when it might be safe and the right time to present the show. We also, at the moment, have a date at the University of Houston and the Mitchell Center for the Arts for late March that we are hopeful will happen. And PearlDAmour will be in residence with the theater department at the University of Houston for most of the year leading up to that date.
We're really interested in, as the piece tours, using the choir as an opportunity to work with locals in each community, whether it's through university where we can sort of build an interdepartmental coalition, or whether it's with science or oceanography
Right.
centers. That's a place that we can really interlace the tour with the community.
And if people want to stay updated, what's the best way for them to do that? Is there a www?
Yep, you can go to our website, which is www.PearlDAmour.com, and there's an Ocean Filibuster page, and there's also a place to sign up on our mailing list on that website, and we send not that frequent email updates, but we'll definitely let people know
Yeah.
about how this goes, and the ART website as well.
Yeah, and before quickly before we explain what we're going to show you next, we just wanted to make sure that we thanked Dan Schrag and the Harvard Center for the Environment for really opening up a whole new world for us, and thanks to ART for supporting that as well.
Yeah.
And thank you for Guggenheim for hosting.
Yeah.
Do you want to say the website just one more time for anybody who was not expecting it and probably passed by them?
www.PearlDAmour, which is our last name, so you can see the spelling on our
But no
pictures there.
apostrophe. Yeah.
PearlDAmour
Yeah.
with no apostrophe.com. Oh, thanks. Somebody just put it in the chat. So this last section that we're going to do happens at the very beginning of the second act of the show. Now, what we haven't talked about is that the intermission of this piece is an interactive opportunity. It's a chance for the audience, as they're going to get their drink or going to the bathroom or have a snack, they can actually come up on stage and have little playful, informative experiences with these ocean selves and find out some more facts about the ocean, have little experiences. They can see an augmented reality version of a thermal heat vent, which is something that's on the ocean floor. So there's a chance to kind of to get in there. And when they come back, Jenn is not at the podium where we've gotten used to seeing her. She's actually like in the audience or lounging near the audience. We haven't quite decided, but she's inside what she calls a pause. So the ocean essentially has stopped the clock, the filibuster clock, which has been ticking down. She stopped the clock, she stopped time so that all of us can kind of take a break with it inside this pause.
But just for clarity's sake, not in the quote unquote reality of the show, it's more of like a suspension of time as opposed to a stopping of time, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, so this is like almost like a magical space as opposed to like a break room.
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
right.
That's a good way to put it. One of the things that we're really interested in is how the ocean has many, many experiences of time, like big things in the ocean experience time much differently than small things. How does the ocean experience time versus humans? So now we're in ocean time, which gives a lot of space.
Yeah, and there's the notion of human time appears to kind of throughout the piece, and I think that this moment is the ocean kind of going like, let's set that aside for a minute.
Right.
You're pretty obsessed with your human clock, so let's just hang
let's
out
deal
here
with
for a
ocean
minute.
time, which is a whole nother
Yeah.
dimension.
Yeah, it also gives the ocean a chance to express some different kinds of ways it might think and feel about humans.
Yeah, I would say in part one of the piece, I would say the ocean is generously and compassionately trying to explain a lot and kind of embrace humans in explaining these things, and is sometimes quite gentle, but you'll see a little bit of a different opinion in this section.
A whole nother vibe.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's do it.
All right.
The day we woke up to no ocean. The day we woke up to the dry bed. See the expanses of trembling coral under the shadows of new mountain ranges. You can hear them crunching their numbers. You can hear them scratch each line in the chart. The men of the commission say, learn to adapt. The ocean is dead and it's not coming back. The day we awoke, the ocean was gone. Walk on her bed and squint at the sun. Across the expanse, now there's nowhere to run. How can you live with no ocean? How can you live with no ocean? How can you live with no ocean? Look at me up here, trying to work inside the human form. Let me ask you, how do you like having a nose? Oh, well, I guess you've always had one, right? So you can't really have an opinion. It's just so awkward to me, like right in the middle of the face. It's like popcorn to a cat shark, Boop! A little snack. I will admit, I've been enjoying the smell of lemons. Small pleasures. Another nice human thing. How many of you got to see the heat vents through your phone? It's awesome, right? I don't mean to brag, but that's just a glimpse of the complexity that makes me me. This is all happening inside my ocean mind, by the way, in the middle of a pause. But let's luxuriate here for a bit, yes? I need to gather my strength. Salut. There was this guy swimming around in me a couple weeks ago. I don't know why I noticed him. I mean, he was like a floater in an elephant's eyeball. But this guy fancied himself a scientist. And he was like, ooh, wow, my specimen. Look how amazing. He was taking pictures with his underwater camera. He was freediving. And he went to swim back up, but he got disoriented. He was actually swimming horizontally across me. And he started swimming and faster, and he was convinced that he was almost to the top when he blacked out. For a moment, the larynx closed shut. It does this, the larynx. When you are unconscious in the water, it does it for 2 minutes so water doesn't get into your throat. For 2 minutes. And after 2 minutes, well, the brain just knows you're toast and it opens back up. And water flows into your lungs. And the scientist died, sunk to the bottom. There is no moral to this story. I don't care about you. Flick you off my shoulder into the abyss. You're just another human. You can be replaced or not replaced. I don't care. I will still go on as I always have. I don't care about you. You act the Goliath. Stomp your feet and beat your chest. It's just another day. Don't pretend to care. Don't fill me with your dread. Don't dip your toes in me inside. Don't look at me that way. I don't care about you. 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 Flick you off my shoulder into the abyss. You're just another human. You can be replaced or not replaced. I don't care. I will still go on as I always have. Yeah, 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 yeah. I don't care about you. We're really in this, aren't we?
And that's the dismount.
That's the for tonight.
Thank you.
For tonight.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Mikhail.
Mikhail.
Any other last words before we go?
You.
Follow our website. Come see the show when we can all gather again.
PearlDAmour.com. Thank you, Jenn Kidwell. Thank you, Sxip.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Jen.
everybody.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.